saying, Hareinu loimdim. This year, Amud Yomi is dedicated for that tzlacha of Klal Yisrael in its difficult times. Hashem should be with us. Help us win, be victorious. And this is the day which Hashem made great, great nisim for us. Yomi Yerushalayim gave us back the kotel. And so too, today Hashem will work His miracles in many other ways, the kotel and everything else. הרינו לומדים לעילוי נשמתו מנחם בן עקיבא, רוס בת שלום צור בת מוישה, אביבה בת מוישה, לרפואת חנה בת צימה, פנינה חיה בת גאולה רוכל אור בן דליה, אור רפואה בן דליה. רפואת ידידיה בן חנה, רוכל בת שושנה, אסתרפומה בת שושנה, מלכה עקיבא בן החומה, בתוך שיכול לתור, that's me by the way. Okay, weiter. We said in the previous year, Kiddushin Ein Hey Amud Beis in the bottom of the page. Bottom of the page, we said that there are three opinions regarding the problems of the kutim. Kutim are problematic people. When you're suggested a kutis for shidduch, please reject that. Could be a very nice girl, but kutim have their issues halachically. So I'm not going to repeat everything with shalosh machloikos. The first machloikos, in other words, the first opinion regarding kutim is quite straightforward. I'm just reviewing yesterday's stuff. Rabbi Ishmael said that kutim are goyim because kutim never really accepted upon themselves mitzvahs. They were forced into it because they were in fear of the lions who came to attack them. So the kutim were never Jewish. They never accepted the mitzvahs properly. If a person is forced into conversion, which is not so good lechatchila, but b'di'evid he keeps mitzvahs, b'di'evid you keep him as a yid. But they never did, says Rabbi Ishmael with the explanation of the Ritva. And therefore, finished. So they're apostle, they're going, goodbye. Can the Kutim marry each other? Gesundheit, Mackenzie can marry Miss McKinley. Shine, Beseder, why not? That's Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva said what? Rabbi Akiva says Kutim gere emes. Rabbi Akiva says that Kutim originally were sincere. Maybe they were forced, true, that's Meforshim and Novi and Melochim, we can't argue on that. The Kutim were forced into Yiddishkeit, but they were sincere at some point. Yeah, at some point the Kohanim came and taught them Torah, and eventually, sadly so, they stopped Mekayim Mitzvahs the proper way. They interpret the Torah the wrong way. They're over the Zohar, and therefore what? And therefore they are Jews. But what's the problem? We are now starting officially today's Shiur, and we say Ve'ela mipnei ma asorum, with the very last line of Ayin Hey Amud Beis. Why did Chachamim say that Kutim should not intermingle with their nation in marriage? Instead, one interesting particular issue, their interpretation of Yibum was wrong. You know what they used to do? Listen to this. Let me explain soon. Very interesting. In other words, when a kutit would, Khalila, I feel bad for her, if she lost her husband and the husband has no children, we all know what has to be done. We all know that. And the kutim also know that, but they had a very, very funny kind of interpretation. What would they do? If a kutit was mekudeshes without chuppah, without living together, that interim period, Kiddushin pre-nisuin, if he died then they would require yibum or chalitza. But if the lady was already nesua, if she already started living with her husband after the tzachupah, then he died, they would exempt her. She would go lashuk. They would say, no, lady, you don't have to do anything. Go marry whoever you want. Why would they do that? My dalshi, what kind of funny drosha did they have? And by the way, Ellen, what you said yesterday was partially right. They were not like the Koroim that just kept Torah Shebechtav. It's Mefursha that also kept Torah Shebal Peh. I'll tell you later. But Lemaise, the Kutim misinterpreted certain areas in the Torah, such as this. Look at the following drosha. It says in the Torah, Lo tihye eishes hameis hachutza ish zar. Yeah, when it talks about Tibum in the Heilige Torah, it says she, that woman, eishes hameis, the woman, the wife of the dead person, the almona, should not be hachutza leishza. What does hachutza mean? Third Hebrew word for today. Hachutza is outside. Very good. She should not go out and go out of the family to marry a strange man. Rather, she should have yibum or chalitza. So listen to the funny interpretation of the Kutim. What did they How did they interpret the word hachutza? They said like this: Hach deyat v'chutza, the one who was while the husband was alive, she was still on the outside, meaning she wasn't yet with him. She didn't yet live with him. She still lived outside of his domain. That woman, loiti zar, she should not marry a strange man. Meaning Yibum only applies to the one who, when he was alive, she was chutza. She wasn't yet really, really married. Then Yibum applies to her. Aval hach deloyat v'chutza, but the one who was not outside, meaning the one who lived with her husband, practically like husband and wife, she can marry whoever she wants. Very interesting interpretation. Yeah, interessant. So therefore, what comes out lemaisa? That a lot of kutim, yibum does happen. My friend Adain told me once a month they have yibumim every, I think, around Rosh Chodesh. It's very sadly war. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and therefore what? So you have a lot of kutim who are children of who? Of Yemvomo Lashuk, it's called, right? Of a Yemvomo that did not go through the process of Chalitza, and she married whoever, shmuever, from the market, from wherever. Is that Mamzel? Well, I see you're a big follower of Rabbi Akiva. It's an Isur Lav. It's a Lav. Loi tihe. According to most of us, he's not a Mamzel. However, Aval, let's continue the Gemara. Rabbi Akiva letaime, Rabbi Akiva, remember, we are now in the middle of Rabbi Akiva's opinion. Rabbi Akiva is letaime, Rabbi Akiva is following his own logic. The Omar, yesh mamzer mechayve lavin. Lovely. Rabbi Akiva says that if a couple got married and they are what? Oiver love. That marriage is no chorus. No chiyuv misa, but there's a lav. There is isur doraisa involved, right? Lav lamed aleph vov, not love. Lav is there's an isur doraisa. What happens then? Most of us would say that's very bad, but the kid is not a mamzer. Rabbi Kiva says the kid's a mamzer. So what? What do you mean? So what? If there's kutim, there are a lot of mamzerim amongst them. So Rabbi Kiva says, listen, they're Jews, but they're mamzerim. So stay away. And even as we're going to see soon, I just want to sharpen already the idea now, some kutim, like in every community, were more knowledgeable than others. But this was such a big problem by them, yeah? The Rabbi Kiva says, don't touch any kuti, because even the quote-unquote knowledgeable ones, they also thought that, yeah? Their Talmidei Chachamim, so to speak, they also misinterpreted it. So that's such an ingrained mistake by them, so you can't touch any kuti. Because even the Kuti rabbi would wed such a couple of Yivom Alashuk. So there's such a big problem. You, regular, nice Jewish boy, nice Jewish girl, stay away from the Kutim. That's Rabbi Akiva. That's opinion number 2. So let's revise. Rabbi Shmuel, Goim. Rabbi Akiva, Mamzerim. Simple. Now comes the third opinion. Yes, are you good? Are you happy? Are we friends again? Yeah. Now comes the third opinion of the threesome. The Yesh Oimrim, some say, we don't say who, Lefi she'ein bekin b'dikduke mitzvahs. Oh, that's similar to Rabbi Akiva, but not the same. The third opinion, soon we'll see who that is, that Tana claims that they were not bekin, they were not knowledgeable in dikduke mitzvahs, in the ins and outs, in the small details of mitzvahs. In other words, they didn't know how to keep halacha properly. And therefore what? And therefore you'll see what. First, well, that's going to develop. Man yesh oimrim. Who's that mysterious Tana yesh oimrim? Obviously, who does it have to be? Omar Ravidi bar Avin Rab Lezari. Remember? Our entire search already from a few days ago is to find out why did Rab Lezer say that even a kuti cannot marry a kutis? That was not said neither by Rabbi Shmuel nor by Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Shmuel would say, let a goy marry a goiter. Mazel tov. Congratulations to Mackenzie and McKinley. Very nice. We'll buy them a gift. Goyim should get married. A man should get married to a woman. A big chiddush. What about Rabbi Shmuel? Rabbi Shmuel said, excuse me, Rabbi Akiva, mamzerim. Okay, mamzerim should marry each other. What can you do? But She'enkin, the third opinion, Rabbi Lezer says no. As we're going to see now, Rabbi Lezer says even one kuti should not marry a kutis. Oh, what's the story here? Why is that? Let's see, nice and slow, how the story of Rabbi Lezer develops that a kuti should not marry a kutis. We're going to see. But first, we're going to talk about another mitzvah in the Torah, the Tanya. It says in the Braisa, and that's in Chulin Daf Daled. Yeah, that's in Chulin Daf Daled. I saw it yesterday. And it says, Matzahs kuti muteres. Let's say Kuti tells you, Mister, I have a matzah to give you for Pesach. My name is Kuti Kutiansky. And what? And I bake matzahs for the Passover holiday. I'm also Jewish. I'm also religious. I baked you a matzah. Oh, you're a very Hadrin guy. There are two questions here. First of all, maybe his matzah is chometz. I don't know if he knows what's matzah, what's chometz. Secondly, even if the matzah is not chometz, can I use it for Leila Seder? Because the Seder night, you can only use matzah shmura. Matzah that was halachically guarded and kept better be from the very, very beginning, from the ktsira, from the time of harvesting, or even before they already have, there's some halachas to do with it shouldn't get too wet and to this. The kitzur matzah, the whole process has to be very well guarded right from the beginning. And only that you should eat on Leila Seder as your matzah's mitzvah. Can I actually rely on the kutim on that? So look at this. Rabbi Eliezer, detan matzah's kuti muteres, the odom yoytze by decha b'Pesach. Says Tanna Kama, yes and yes. The kutim, they know what they do when it comes to mitzvahs deoraisa. The kutim, the oraisa they keep, and therefore, first of all, the matzah is not chometz. They know how to make matzah halachically, and secondly, they know how to do matzah shmura. No problem. So yes, on both accounts, very nice. Now, before we continue, Tosfos points out that it says in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer that whoever eats pas kuti, it's as if he ate chazer. Wow. Like pas akum, extra on steroids. What's pshat? So it's pas akum, even worse. Answers Tosfos, you can see it inside the first Tosfos in the middle of the Tosfos. If the kuti made the bread in his house, or the matzah, or the bread, depends what time of year, I don't know what it does there. Kutim don't believe in lifnei velotit and michshol. Big problem. Kutim also misinterpret the pasuk of lifnei iver that tells you what? Don't put a stumbling block in front of a blind man, which means don't, assist anybody in doing an avera. They don't care. They don't care to cause somebody else to sin. So that's a big problem. So if the kuti made it in his own house, Hashem knows what he puts there. Aval ha'isa shakuti oise bebeisa shel Yisrael mutar. Very nice. Yeah. In other words, the kuti, if he made it in my house, under my hashgacha, done in my house, I saw that he didn't put, I don't know, chazer, whatever he put inside. He didn't. It's good. So it's under hechsher. But maybe there's still chashash that there was no shmura. Maybe his das wasn't right for the shmira, for the matzah, the shem matzah's mitzvah. That we're not concerned about. And Tosfos points out something interesting in the end. Look at the very end. When you can actually be exempt with matzah of kuti. Only if the kuti himself also eats with you in Leila Seder, his matzah's mitzvah from the same matzah. If not, otherwise it's a problem. In other words, what do you do? What do all the kings do in the stories? In order to make sure that the thing is not poisoned, they give it to the other guy to drink first or to eat. So the kuti may have a very nice matzah for you, nice, not nice. He wants to make you sin. So therefore, the kuti himself should eat for his mitzvah, and he believes in matzah's mitzvah, and then he can have the same, because for himself, he has a mahudar shmura matzah. So opinion number one is not Rabbi Eliezer. Opinion number one is chachamim. They say kutim, generally speaking, in the oraisa, they keep the oraisa very nice. However, comes Rabbi Eliezer, which is our man. Rabbi Eliezer, our Tana says, oiser. He forbids if you shen bekim the kduke mitzvahs. They're not bad people, but they're not knowledgeable. They're meratzim. They don't know how to bake matzah. They don't know about lishmo, about shmura. They don't know the details. You know how many details are there in baking matzah? 1,000,000. So they don't know. So no, don't eat the matzah of the kuti. They don't know what they're talking about. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, "Kol mitzvah shechziku bakusim." The mitzvahs that kutim were machzik, were strong in, are known to keep. The mitzvahs that are known and they have the chazakah to keep already. Wow. The mitzvahs that they do keep, they keep even better than Yisrael. Interesting. So what's the difference between, so you can eat the matzah. What's the difference between Tanna Kama and Rabbi Gamliel? They're both pro-kutim. So I saw the Gemara in Chulin. The Gemara says, depends if there's a mitzvah which is not in the Torah, but they were machzik. The Nekama says they keep the mitzvahs of the Torah. Rashbag says not only Torah, even some mitzvahs derabanan. If we know that they kept it, it's known to be muchzik. They do it even better. So now, so the general picture is we saw regarding matzah that Rabbi Eliezer was the only opinion who disqualified kutim. They just don't know how to keep halacha. They don't know what they're doing. I continues the Gemara. We're not talking about matzah. I thought we were talking about marriage. So the Gemara asks, "Ve'elahachi mai ein bekin." Over here, what do you mean when you say ein bekin? What's the big bekias over here? We're talking about yuchsim. Is your mamzer not mamzer? You have to be a boki to make a mamzer. What's the story? Lefi she'en bekin b'toras kiddushin legerushin. That is pshat, which means since the kutim, just like they don't know how to bake matzah properly, they don't know exactly how kiddushin should work, and therefore what could happen. Therefore, you can have some not so knowledgeable kutim who married a woman, and really there was kiddushin, they were kosher. The kuti rabbi, in inverted commas, who doesn't know what he's talking about, he thinks that those kiddushin are null, are nothing, right? And he tells that woman, you're not mekudeshes, go marry whoever you want. Eshes ish. She's really an eshes ish, because Rebbe Eliezer believes that they are Jewish. They are Jewish, so there's eshes ish applies, right? They're Jewish, koyach, and now what happens next? Well, she's an eshes ish, marrying, she was miskadeshes afterwards to another guy, she had children, mamish like reform today. And she gets married to the other guy without a get, right? And now she has 3 children from him, and all mamzerim. So why can't a kuti marry another kutit? Because some kutim were more knowledgeable. Some kutim knew better. As opposed to Rabbi Akiva, who said that they had a hashkafic, halachic misconception as a nation. Everybody didn't know about Yavama, they misinterpreted it. Here, it's just a mistake. In some, it's very true today also. Some communities, they have like a kru mashkofa. Some communities are nice people, and some of them, they just don't know what they're doing. So if a daughter of an Amoritz Kuti marries a good Kuti, with a kosher Kuti, then what's the problem? Then there's a chashash of mamzeres marrying a non-mamzer. Now you may ask the question, who cares? Lamaisa, if, one second, if Kutim are Gerim, even if you look at Kutim positively, they're Gerim. So who cares if the son of all Kutim are Gerim? Because all Kutim started from one Kuti and one Kutis, right? So who cares that the Ger marries a Mamzeres? Says the Tosas Rosh, I saw it today, the Tosas Rosh says there's the Chashash that they infiltrated into Jewish people. You can have somebody who's really of a Kuti that married into a Jewish family. He's really Jewish. The mother's Jewish and the father's Kuti, let's say. So he's Jewish. There could be a Jewish person amongst the Kutim. Today, you have Jewish people in Arab villages. You know that? Of the Jewish women who go with Arabs. The shtus, yeah? So you can have a person looks like a Kuti, behaves like a Kuti, and eats matzah like a Kuti. He's really Jewish, and he's going to marry Mamzeres. So because of that, we said a Kuti should not marry a Kuti. That's Rabbi Eliezer with the addition of Tosas. Now, okay, very nice. Omar Rav Nachman, more on the same, more opinions on the same. Now, but Amar Rav Nachman, Omar Rabba Baravua, Mamzer me'achoisoi, u'mamzer meishes ach nisarvu bohen. What does that mean? Says Rav Nachman, I know that the issue with the Kutim is, what's the problem there? They had mamzerim that were infiltrating into the Kuti community. What kind of mamzerim? Listen carefully. Mamzer me'achoisoi. A brother and sister Loleinu had relations, they had a child, that's mamzer from achoisoi, and also mamzer me'eshes ach. Also there's a mamzer from eshes ach, meaning what happens if your brother's wife, let's say she is widowed, are you allowed to marry her? Tricky. No, unless she has no children. Very good, you're right. No, you're right, no. If she has half a child, I'm not joking, she's pregnant from the brother, even if, there's one child, one daughter, one girl, that's it. You're not allowed to marry her. And let's say you did, or maybe no marriage, just znus. The stam had spent time together. So now the child of a sister-in-law, brother-in-law, even if the brother died, not Yovam, what is it? What's the punishment for having znus with the achois, with the sister, or Shesach? Very good. Do they also get misa in Beis Din? No. Very good. Very nice. So what's Rav Nachman really telling me? That the type of mamzerim that that infiltrated into the Kuti community, and they were Jewish, who got into the Kuti community, they were mamzer from Koris. Yeah, not from Chiyuv Misa. Mamzer was a result, of course, which Rupaskin is mamzer. So that's a problem. Nisalvu Behen. So we have mamzerim who came into the Kuti community, and we know that for sure. So we say, stay away from them. At least you, Jew, stay away from the Kutim. My Kamash Malan. What really is the Chiddush? What's Rav Nachman coming to tell me with all these details? This kind of mamzer, that kind of mamzer. Rav Nachman Chas v'Shalom is not into juicy stories. Why does he have to give me all the juicy details? My Kamash Malan, Lichoyer, what's the halachic Chiddush Rav Nachman is telling me? Yesh mamzer mechai v'krisus. Oh, as you guys said very nicely, there is mamzer. In other words, a couple was chayiv kores, but not chayiv misa. Their child is also mamzer, right? Because there is an opinion in Yevomis Daf Memtes that says mamzer is only chayiv misa. Did you know that? Yeah, some people say that a mamzer, we actually saw it also before we mentioned it. A mamzer from Isel Kores is not a mamzer, they say, some. Here comes Rav Nachman and tells me, no, you should know that these types of mamzerim, even though there was no chiyuv misa, you don't kill the brother and sister who live together, still the child is a mamzer. Rav Nachman is telling me halachic chiddush, not stam. If so, frek the Gemara is asking, nit nichada. So why do you have to give me both examples? Give me one example, and I'll get it already. Either say achoisoi, or tell me that me'ach, yeah, eishasach from sister-in-law. And says the Gemara, ma'ishishoyo kachoyo. That was a real story, which means Rav Nachman repeated and told me both stories that there was both mamzer from a sister and a mamzer from a sister-in-law, because that was a ma'isa. You should know many times the Rambam says, many times the Torah goes into details, technical details, like where were Bnei Sol in the Midbar. Of course, there are many holy reasons. Sometimes because the Torah is a history save for people should know that the Torah is a reliable source to know history besides the Kedusha of the Torah. So too over here, Rav Nachman wants to tell you, I know the details. I know the detail of one story. I know the detail of the other story. And what I'm telling you is truth. Yeah, that was how it was. That was a real story. And that's why I'm saying this. Rava says a different problem happened. Eved b'shivcha nisarvu bahen. Oh, there was an Eved Knaini, and there was another time when a shivcha Knainis married into them, which means what? Let's assume again that some Kutim are Jewish, right? Okay, and therefore what? A Jewish person, the Jews infiltrated into the Kutim, so they have some Jews there and some Eved with a shivcha. That's a problem. What's the real problem over there? Well, what's the chashash? What's the real problem? If an Eved married a Kutit or a Shifcha married one Kuti, and we don't know who they are, we lost count. So what's the real problem? The only problem is Mishum Shifcha. The only problem is Shifcha. Why? Let's say an Eved married the Bas Yisrael. Even if we hold very high that the Eved married the Bas Yisrael, a Kutit, which is really the Bas Yisrael, right? Maybe she's a real Gioires, she's Megayer again, she infiltrated Lochpat. Eved married the Bas Yisrael. You tell me, guys, you already know a lot. What's the status of the child? Jewish, kosher. So that's not a problem with the Eved. Not good. She was over an Isser of Loti Ekdesha. But with the Eved, the child's okay. Again, we're not Rabbi Akiva here. We're not in Rabbi Akiva land. So it's not a mamzer. So what's the only problem? A Jew who married a Shifcha. Because a Jew who married a Shifcha, then the Vlad is also an Eved. That's a problem, right? Don't marry them because they have avodim. You marry a Kuti who you think is Megayer and nice. No, he's really an Eved. You're not allowed to marry an Eved Knaini. So now, if the only problem is the Shifcha, because a Jew and a Shifcha, the child is an Eved, so you really have avodim running around there and you don't know. If so, nit nichada. So why is Rabbi telling me both cases Eved and Shifcha should only mention the Shifcha? Because, only the Shifcha. Why? Jew and Shifcha. The child is an Eved and you don't know he's an Eved. Your daughter wants to marry a nice Kuti boy. He's really an Eved. It was Megayer, he's frum there. So what? He's an Eved, yeah? So now, answers the Gemara again, although Rava could have spared us the details, he didn't. Rava wants to tell us exactly how the Maisa took place, because that's the way it was. So Rava shows us that he has credibility knowing the story. Very, very nice. Oh, next Mishnah is with the new, we're going to see that, the beautiful chart. So artistic and articulate. Zogt the Heilige Mishnah. You okay? Yeah. Says the Mishnah. Now, how well do you have to check into yichus? They suggest a nice girl for your son. Yeah, they suggest a nice boy for your daughter, the chule. And you don't, Imert Hashem, soon everyone's children should invite shidduchim. And is the family Jewish? They come from Timbuktu. I don't know. Jewish, Mamzerim. I don't know what's going on, right? It's a big shiloh. So now, although this Mishnah, don't faint, because what the Mishnah is about to tell us, not exactly halacha l'maisa, but this is an opinion that applies in certain cases. So let's see what the Mishnah tells us. Anoise isha kohenes, yeah? Soon we'll see why it says kohenes, one who wants to marry an isha, who is a kohenes, she's of a kohanim family. That's well known. Her father and grandfather, they work in, let's say, I don't know if they work in Beis HaMikdash, we'll discuss later, but we know that she's from Kohanim, no question, like your wife, yeah, I know. Yeah. He has to track, he has to backtrack 4 generations in each direction, father and mother. So altogether, he has to check 8 of her mothers, so to speak, ancestors, yeah, mother, grandmother, great grandmother, as we're going to see in the chart, 8 of them. Yeah, what are they? Ima, yeah, Ima, her mother. Yeah, I'm showing this now in the chart. I'm online, the chart is on. Let's look at her mother's side. You can look at the chart which you have. Ima, the aim Ima, the mother of the mother, that's line number 2 on the right. On the right-hand side, number 2. Ima, the aim Ima, right? The mother of the mother. The aim Avi Ima, the mother of the father of the mother, that's above 3, right? Ve Imo, and her mother, right? So her mother, her grandmother, her great-grandmother from the father's side, and her great-great-grandmother again on the father's side. What is this stop sign? You notice this little balloon? It means that's where you stop. You basically have 2 pairs of mothers. I'm looking now on the mother's side. 2 mothers, mother, grandmother, and then stop. And then from the father of the mother, again 2 mothers, and then stop. It's called zug, a pair, mother and mother. And now that's one side, okay? And the aim avia. Let's now go to the tatele. The aim avia, the ima, her mother. The aim avi avia, the mother of the father, right? That's number 3. The ima and her mother, the mother of the mother of the father. If you notice the chart, what's going on here, you always have 2 mothers in each direction, and then you stop. So altogether, you have to check that 8 mothers. What do you check for exactly? That they knew how to make cholent, your style, Hungarian, Tunisian. So it's a machlokes rishonim. According to Rashi, we're going to start with Rashi now. Rashi says you have to check anything mamzerus. In other words, look at Rashi. Rashi says, what's the checking? You have to check that boitkin mamzerus or achas min psulas bakong. Mamzeres, Nesina. In other words, it's not something exclusively connected to Koyanim. You just have to check that they're not Mamzeros. Obviously, there are many questions. Why are the fathers not being checked so much? The Gemara will discuss it. According to Rashi, we're going to see Tosfos in or outside later. We're following Rashi now. According to Rashi, the issue is anything. There's a family. What kind of family is it? We're going to see soon. But right now, we're saying that just a regular average family. So it sounds like at this point, you have to check 4 generations up in each direction. Mother and father of the woman should be checked 4 mothers in each direction, like this beautiful, amazing chart Siyata Dishmaya is showing us. Okay? Good. Weiter. There's a lot to say here, but let's continue for now. Now let's see. Continues the Mishnah. Levia ve'Israelis. That is true regarding a Kohenes. But if you want to marry a girl who's below Kohenes, either Levia or Israelis, then you have to check 1 more. Wow. What do you have to check? 1 more generation. You saw the stop sign? Yeah, look. That, go back to the chart. All these little balloons that are empty, that doesn't say the word M, it's like a stop sign. If she's a Levia or Israelis, you have to check that mother too. Yeah, you have to check 8 plus 4. You know that this is 12? You have to check 12 mothers if you're marrying a Levi or Israelis. Why? What's the difference? Well, clearly, who are more miyuchosim? Who are more up in the air? Koyanim. Because Koyanim naturally are more selective, so by them I only have to check up to 8 mothers. It's called mothers, yeah, matriarchs. Hashank and Levi Israelis are less picky with their yuchsin, right? And therefore, by them, you have to check deeper and better into the yichus. It's like today a little bit, although it's not always true. You marry a daughter of a Rosh Yeshiva, Mistom had already checked the yichus. You marry a daughter of somebody who's very, very not knowledgeable and lives in a community where people don't know what they're doing, or he comes from zero background, you have to check much more because they're not as selective, right? I mean, I'm talking in general. So to over here, Leviv Israelis are naturally less into yichus, so you got to do the homework yourself even more and check for 12, no less than 12. You have to go a lot of searches online, yeah, all the genealogy and call all the rabbis and all the historians and the registrar of the community of Lithuania from 200 years ago. Yeah, I'm not saying halacha l'maaseh. Don't faint here on the spot. Well, no. I told you this is not halacha l'maaseh begadol. Slowly, this is Mishnah. So now, continues the Mishnah. Even when you want to check into kohenes, ein boidkin lo min mizbeach u'lemala. Yitzchak, what you said is not a joke. In the times of Beis Hamikdash, let's say you live in the times of Beis Hamikdash, or right after the destruction, and you started your checking, you were offered a nice kohenes, nice girl, very good Yerushalayim girl, and you started an investigation, and you found pretty early that one of her fathers, let's say grandfather, or great grandfather, you know for sure, 100%, you heard from Edus, that they actually served in the Mizbeach. Oh, if they were the Mizbeach, you don't have to check lemala. You don't have to check, investigate any further, because if he was in the Mizbeach, he was thoroughly checked by the committee of Beis Hamikdash. They don't allow anybody to be there. The mere fact the grandpa was in Beis Hamikdash serving, Mamish grandfather, whichever stage in the genealogy he was serving, for sure, they come from good stock. Veloy minaduchan ulamala. What's minaduchan? It's not the Birkas Koyanim. These are Levim who used to sing and play music in the duchan, on the podium in the mikdash, the Levim. So if she's a Levia, and we know that her Zaidi or one of the Zaidis were singers or musicians by the Levim, that's already what? A stempel of kashrus. That's already a kashrus certificate, and you don't have to check any further. The checking was already done by people better than you. The Beis Hamikdash committees, they know what they're doing. Oh, let's say she is whatever, Kohenes, Israelis, whatever she is, and her Zaidi was part of the Sanhedrin. Oh, people of Sanhedrin were only miyuchosim. You should know Gerim were not accepted to Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin, even Gerim, not for Chayve Misa for sure. Chayve Moment is a Dine Nefoshes were not judged by Gerim, or Dine Mominus is Oshaila, possibly yes. But Sanhedrin, basically, if he was sitting in the Sanhedrin, that's the best temple. You don't have to investigate any further into, earlier generations. And one more, the kol shuchzuku avoisov mishoitrei harabim begaboy tzedoko. Let's say there is a girl that her fathers, meaning her ancestors, were shoitrei harabim. We're not talking about today's shoitrim who are behaving like animals in Israel, but shoitrei harabim, some of them, shoitrei harabim, people who were basically working for Beis Din, and they were tough people. They would summon people to Beis Din or give malchus the gaboy tzedoko. So masin lekehuna ve'en tzorich livdok achrein. If she's a daughter or granddaughter of someone who was a shoiter or a tzedakah, official tzedakah collector of the community, then people don't have to check. You know what? You're going to laugh now. Because these people are not very liked. People don't like the policemen, and people don't like the schnorrers. Take it from me, I know. And therefore, from the schnorrer side. And what? And therefore, if a schnorrer or a shoiter, sounds the same. If they have any yichus issues, people would have advertised it and publicized it already. The bad tongues would already have said, that schnorrer, he's a mamzer. So in case it's true. So therefore, if they manage to keep a clean record in spite of being not so liked by the community, must be that they're kosher. This again is what I'm saying now. We're going to see tomorrow the details. This is just in general. No, that's not what the Gemara says. I don't know, because they're tzaddikim, they're trustworthy. I hear. When we learn this tomorrow in the Gemara, we'll have a discussion. I'm hearing you. Now continue the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi says, Af misha chosum aid, which is a question, be'erchi yeshana shel tzipoiri, which means yeshana does mean old. It means it's a name of a town. There was a town near Tzipori called Yeshana. That was the name of the town. And they had Erki. What's Erka Ois? A Beis Din, not of a Goyim. There was a Beis Din of a town near Tzipori that was very selective about the Dayonim. The Dayonim were only, obviously, the top-notch people. And also, even the Aidin, look at that, Hayachosum aid, right? Even if he was signed as an aid in the documents of Beis Din, that person would be surely a kosher person and not a mamzer. Now, I'm not saying a mamzer is postul le'edus. I'm not saying that I didn't say. I'm going to tell you something soon. But in this gears of the Gemara, it tells you of the Mishnah aid. If you signed as an aid in that Beis Din, they were very particular in choosing just real tzaddikim, not mamzerim, not nesinim as aidim. However, Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says we're talking about the dayonim of that town. The dayonim of that city, Yeshana, they were only top-notch people and not what? Not mamzerim. And really, there is a girsa that erases the word ed. In other words, it's dayonim. The dayonim of that town, they were always the biggest, most miyuchas people in that town. Rabbi Chanina ben Antignus oimer, af mi shoyo muchtav bistrati shel melech. Oh, Ellen's going to have fun now. Yeah, a person who was in the army. Back then in the army, they only accepted the selected people are not mamzerim. Certain time of history, I don't know when. We're going to see it in the Gemara. There were certain people in certain armies where they only accepted the asked you in the army. When you go to the bakum, to the recruitment center, are you mamzer, not a mamzer, they would find out, and only the non-mamzerim, only they would go to the army. And only men and not women. And only people who are normal men and not crazy men. Only they went to the army. So you could go to the army. Yeah, they didn't have girls who. Okay, let's continue. Weiter says the Heilige Gemara. Says the Gemara. That was good. That was in place. Says the Gemara. Frag the Gemara. Maishna benoshi badkinan umaishna begavri loy badku. Did you notice the chart? It's very clear that the mother are being checked, but the father are not checked. Excuse me. Last time I checked, I learned either father or mother mamzerim is an issue. So why do you check only the women and not the men? Equality. What's going on here? Answers the Gemara. Nashi. You know why? Because Nashi, loy bodku the men. Because Nashi the chiminzu ba'adi adodi. What happens when women fight with each other? Which may happen sometimes. Ba'adi adodi sometimes. How do they insult each other? Let's say one of them is a real bad insult. I'm going to finish her. Yeah, she insulted my cheesecake for Shavuos. I'm going to say the worst thing possible out of which is true, because the best insult is the truth. The truth hurts the most. You know how they really give each other under the belt? She would tell the worst thing possible for the other woman. You were over Isra Arayas. I saw you, and you know that you're too friendly with the bank clerk, with the plumber, with your neighbor. It may be true. So then, that's the worst scenario. But they will not insult each other with yichus. Women care less about that. They would say, you're a mamzeres. It's not so much on the radar. And therefore, you can, even a woman who has enemies, and she's a mamzeres, it wouldn't be necessarily revealed and disclosed. And therefore, you have to check it. Let's say it's true that woman is a mamzeres. There's no rumor, voice. In other words, she could be a mamzeres and people don't know, meaning her friends, of course, cover up for her. But even a worst enemy, it's not so much in a radar, in a mindset, wavelength, to start saying she's a mamzeres. Even in the worst, harshest moments of albanas panim, she wouldn't say you're a mamzeres. She said you're a zoina, you're like sanua, v'chule. Mashe'en ken gavri, the men's nature is different to women's nature. The chimin subadi adodi. If men fight with each other, he took my place in shul. He took my seat in shul 3 times already. Who does he think he is? and I know that he's a mamzer, his father's mamzer, I'll just go and I'll say, mamzer, if it's really that so. The yuchsinu the minzi, if they really fight, the real bad blow they give each other, the knockout, will be you, because men care more. Why is it so? Men have to do more with continuing the family. What's zochor? Zecher. I taught a boy yesterday some basic Hebrew in yeshiva. Zochor is male. Zecher is memory. Memory forever. Because the male, the continuation of the nation and the community continuing has to do with men more than women. Women have to do the inside, and men have to do with the outside in the communal level. So men care more about, you're a father of a family, you're a father of 5 yeshiva bachrim, I know you're mamzer. Yeah, it may be true, or at least it has to be checked into. Because men already take care of what? Of calling each other mamzer in case it's true. Oh, the yuchsin of the minsi, in isa di milsa, if it's really true that the man is a mamzer, that your prospective shidduch, her grandfather mamzerim, don't worry, islekolo. Other people will make sure that this is so. They'll make sure to let everybody know that her grandfather is a mamzer. So if her grandfather, the chule, all her zaydis, nobody ever said about them that they're mamzerim, that you don't have to check, because the enemies would have done the job for you. Now, frag the Gemara, a second question, another equality question. Why doesn't she have to check him? Did you notice the chart? What's written in the very bottom of the chart? What's in the very, very bottom of the bottom? What did it say? Right, very strange language. I think it's Sanskrit language. It's too good. What's an Isha? A woman. You're checking the woman, the Kala, the wife, meaning, and not the other way around. It says in the Mishnah, no, so Isha has to check. What about her? The last time I checked, Rashi says we're checking from Mamzelos. If she or parents want to marry the Nazi Shiva Bocher, he came from Timbuktu, southwest Chichester. Check who he is, yeah. Check. Why doesn't she have to check him, right? She should also check that he's not a mamzer, and she should check his 8 mothers. Answers the Gemara, no. Why doesn't the woman have to check the man? As we saw a few times already, which means when it comes to kehuna, I want to ask you a question. When it comes to kehuna, about kohanim who are not allowed to marry all types of women, does that also apply to women kohanos not to marry these kind of men? Yes or no? No. Can a kohenes, a daughter of a kohen and kohenes, she suggested a very nice boy. He was married for a week. He's a garush. He's divorced. Can a kohenes marry the divorced man? Yes or no? Quick. Yes, she can, of course. That's of Yudom Arav. Can a kohenes marry a cholol? Yes. Can a kohenes marry anything? Anything, not answer. I'm saying not anything. She can't marry, right. But she can marry psule kehuna. So that helps. So this shows us that this is true, which means since a kohenes is allowed to marry a person who's garush, cholol, or a guy who had relations with girls, so that kind of thing, a kohenes is allowed to marry, and therefore what? And that explains everything. What? How does that explain? Frekt Rashi and Tosas, you were checking for mamzer. A woman, kohenes, is allowed to marry a divorcee, but a regular woman is, or kohenes or not, is not allowed to marry a mamzer. So Rashi wants to say as follows. Rashi says something interesting, which is debatable. I'm reading your Rashi inside because I'm scared. So look at Rashi. Lo huzaru ksheros. 3 lines from the bottom of the page, exactly the beginning of the 3rd line from the bottom of the page. Lo huzaru ksheros kohanes linos lepsulin. Right? Kohanes are allowed to marry those which the female version of them would be possible. Kigoin, halali, geri, becharuri. Oh, here's an example. A kohenes through and through was offered a girl, Mackenzie's son. She can marry him. So what does that have to do with us? Here we're talking about mamzerim. Women can't marry mamzerim. Says Rashi an interessante Zach. Since the Torah was not particular about kohanois for yuchsin, rabbanon nami lo avad bo mailo latzruchinu bdika. Interesting. Since the Torah about kohanos was less particular, kohanos can marry almost anybody. So too in rabbanon, this 8 mothers business, 4 and 4, is a rabbanon establishment. So since the Torah regarding kohanos is not makpid on yichus, so too rabbanon did not create that extra bdika for women. Look at that. Vafilu machmas memzeros v'shtukus. Wow, interesting. Very, very not. Tosis doesn't like it, but that's what Rashi says. Since a female kohenes can marry all kinds of guys that men cannot, yeah, the female version, Mimela, even a regular woman who clearly can't marry a mamzer, but Rabbanan didn't establish that extra chumrah of checking 8 people that they didn't establish for women, even for mamzeros. Ela, now Rashi is also adding something extremely important. Ela ki ischazik isura bei. Oh, now Rashi is answering your question, Shlomo, and others. When do you have to check the yichus? When ischazik bei isur. When there's a family, when there are questions, they came from a funny community, or you heard some stories there, not so clear, reform bal tshuva, v'chule v'chule, then you have to check 4 and 4. Only then, whether you're men looking for women or otherwise. But to standardize it and say that even a regular run-of-the-mill frum family from a frum community to check those 4 mothers on each side, that they only required that extra chumrah for men. Because men kohanim are more selective, so too any man has to be more selective for midorabonon. But since women kohanos can marry chalolim and grushim, so too any woman can that she can't marry a mamzer, but she doesn't have to do the extra checkup like that. That's what Rashi says. I don't have time to see Tosis inside because I want to continue a little bit. Tosis doesn't accept it. Tosis says, Mapiton, what does I want him to do the other? Let's look at Tosis a little bit from what we can see. Let's select some lines from Tosis. Look at Tosis Tzorch Shivdok. We'll start. Tosis Tzorch Shivdok, the last Tosis in the page. Yeah? So now, I told you, beginning when we started the Mishnah, we're following Rashi, right? Now we're going to see what Tosis has to say about the entire Mishnah. There's a different shot in the whole Mishnah. Yeah? Don't worry, we don't have to. It's the same mothers on all sides. We don't need a new chart. But the idea, what are you checking for? Yeah, in that Tosis is a different to Rashi. Says Tosis, Pirsh B'Kuntres. Tosis quotes Rashi as he many times does. You have to check. Your man offered a nice B'Syakov girl. I don't know who her grandmother was, a great grandmother. Let's check. Mamzerus. Says Tosis V'lo Nehira. I don't accept that. I find it difficult. Says Tosis. He doesn't like Rashi's chart. But the Gemara asks, what the Gemara we just saw now. The Gemara is asking, let the woman check the men too. Same thing. Meshani, the Gemara answers, the ksheres are okay to marry a kosher, whatever, kohenes, can marry a apostle. What do you mean? I was on the nosel mamzerim. What do you mean? Obviously, a woman cannot marry a mamzer. What are you telling me that women can marry psulim? Women cannot marry mamzerim as much as men cannot marry mamzeros. It's no difference. It does not agree with Rashi's connection between the Doraisa of Kohanos to the Dorabonon of mamzerim. Push comes to shove. Sorry. Once, if a man can't marry mamzeros, just like a woman cannot marry mamzer, so that establishes the Dorabonon equally for both. That's why Tosis is giving us a new pshat for the Mishnah. Really, the chashash of the Mishnah is a kohen who wants to marry a kohenes. Now you understand the loshon of the Mishnah. And also isha kohenes. That's another reason besides what we said. You want to marry a kohenes and you're a kohen. Lovely. Check her from chalolus. Make sure that her mother, are not chalolois. Yeah, a girl can be chalolo from a kohen and a grusha, right? Aval mimshum mamzeros lo shaykh shasha klal. Because of mamzeros, we're not concerned. We're not concerned about mamzeros unless you have a reason to ask. But some run-of-the-mill, nice Jewish family, there's no shash mamzeros. You know why? Says Tosis, the makirin Yisrael mamzerin shebenem. It's a Gemara or somewhere else. We assume that Klal Yisrael knows who's a mamzer, who's not a mamzer. We don't have to be concerned, right? Continues Tosis, miutema. But now there's a difficulty with Tosis. So first of all, Tosis said the chash is chalolus. So what's the question? Correct Tosis. Umiutema. Excuse me. What's the next line in the Mishnah? Whoever wants to marry Levia and Israelis. Levia and Israelis. There's no chalolus there, right? Haktani Levia v'Israelis musif yonodachas. Levia v'Israelis. You have to check even more. What are you talking about? If I'm right, Toisfus, the only concern is chalolus, well, Levi Israel, right? Okay, so now I'm not going to, the next few lines are beautiful, but I'm not going to read them because I want to continue the Gemara a bit. The Yeshloimer, let's keep the Yeshloimer. Now comes to his final maskona. The Ika Bdika Nitkana Mishum Psul Chalolus. The main Bdika is because of Chalolus, right? A Kohen wants to marry Kohenis, make sure she's not a Chalola, and that's definitely a Chashash. You don't know if the father was in Beis HaMikdash. As you said, sadly today, there is no Beis HaMikdash. You have to check 4 generations up, there's no Chalolus. The Agav, however, we jump on the bandwagon. The Agav, Dika de Chalalus, very good. Once we're at it, once we have established already that a person should check for Chalala, said, you know what? Let's also check for other psulim of Mamzerus or other issues. You check for one, check for the other. Aval Gabe Ihi, when it comes to the woman, the lekapsul chalolus, the lozoruk shos l'nosel psulin, lo tzorch l'vdok mishum mamzerus. Very good, says Tosis. A woman, kohenes, never ever has to check for cholol. The cholol is fine for her. So since women never got into the whole business, they're never required to check for chololim, so too, they don't have to check for any other mamzerim. Not that she can marry a mamzer, but whenever press the start button by her, check for chololim, and therefore check for other issues. And men, Kohen has to check for Chalolus. You check for Chalolus? So other men should check too, also for Mamzerus. So Lemais, at the end of the day, though, Rashi and Tosfos, they meet around the corner. They both believe that the checking should be done also for Mamzerus, not just for Chalolus. Weiter, no. Weiter. Avada Barava, 4 lines from bottom, 3 lines from bottom of the page. Avada Barava Tani Daladimois Shem Shtemesre. Wow. Avada Barava said 4 mothers, 4 generations up, which total in 12. You see in the chart that little round thing in top of M, the 4 empty circles with a like stop sign, with a no entry sign. According to Avada Barava, you have to check them too. He learned in the Mishnah all these, the mother, and the other mother, the third one in the top of the hierarchy, they also have to be checked. Wow. That's what Avada Barava learns in the Mishnah. The Masnisa Tana, in the Brisa says, wow, 16. In other words, another generation. On top of that balloon, another one. Mother, 4 each one. 4 times 4. Frag the Gemara, Bishma, Avada Barava. Avada Barava, I can explain the Mishnah, it's very easy. Mukim, La Belevio Bas Yisrael. Avada Barava is not necessarily arguing with the Mishnah. Pashut, what does he say? Levi Bas Yisrael. We said the Levi Bas Yisrael, you have to check 1 generation more, right? So on top of the 8, boom, 1 more on each branch. You have what? You have 8, right? Times 4, 1 more. Levi of Israelis, you have to check 1 more because they're not kohanos. Their families are less yichusdik. Ela Masnisa, name a pliga, is the brisa that says 16, 2 more on top of each pair of mothers. 2 more. Are they arguing in their Mishnah? Loi. Says no. My oid achas zug achas. They interpret the words of the Mishnah 1 more, not 1 more mother, 1 more pair. And I told you, pair means 2 mothers, mother and her mother. Let's go back to the chart. You see the chart? In the chart, we have, let's say, look at number mother, aim, 1, 2, and then there is this empty. On top of the mother number 2, there is this stop sign. According to that opinion of the Brisa, you have to check her and 1 generation more. Her mother too. So you have 4 times 4, 16. And that's what we meant by Levia Israelis. Then you have to check 16. So I don't know. So yeah, a lot of investigation. So as we said, so that some Rishonim say, and maybe we'll see that tomorrow, only applies to families that were questionable, or maybe not. According that's a discussion to be continued. Shkoyach, thank you very, very much. Thank you to all the beautiful people of Torah Anytime for their very hard work and for watching us on Torah Anytime and on YouTube. Thank you and Hatzlocha Rabba. Family tree, that's true. I don't think in Sefer Yuchsin it says it was a mamzer, was not, but yeah. Thank you.